Survived the night. I did hear voices at one point. I should get going, but I'm gonna do coffee first. So basically the later in the morning it gets, the braver I get when it comes to stealth camping, because if somebody comes and goes, oh, you shouldn't be here, leave. I was gonna do that anyway. Last night I was being really careful. I listened to my show with earplugs or earphones, and I had my light on red really low just so nobody saw me from a distance and came to investigate. I did also have lightning. I couldn't tell if it was heat lightning or an actual thunderstorm, though I did see those cells about 8 o'clock or so. I couldn't capture it, but the trees were all flashing with it off in the distance. I also couldn't really do my tick checks correctly. I did find this guy this morning, but oh, he is alive. He was lying there like he was permethrined, which I will now do to him by putting him on my sleeve. So this is one of the guys that can make you allergic to red meat. I'm pretty sure this is an old roadbed, which is kind of ideal because while it has vegetation and it's overgrown, it's relatively flat. You can see once you go uphill, it gets pretty dense. The reason I came up here was I saw this, which I think is an old game trail. And looking in, I could see a break in the vegetation and decided it was worth exploring. But like I said, the previous two didn't work out. So as long as my lights weren't on and they didn't hear me, I wasn't going to be seeing back there, but I could hear occasional things from the houses. Normally that would have been enough to prevent me from using this spot, but there were no lights on. I'm pretty sure that's yet another abandoned building. So I managed to do 25-ish miles the last 2 days, which is where I start to get really happy about my pace. You know, when you're doing 25 a day, the miles overall just tend to melt away. It is also, unfortunately, a pace that I do not seem capable of maintaining for any regular length of time, unless I'm on something very straightforward like this. And even there, if at 18 miles yesterday I had started to have bad chafing that wasn't responding to any of the creams cleaning up, etc. Back! Those are actually non-problematic dogs, but you can't tell till they get close half the time. So as I was saying, great pace, really happy with it, but not something I can always achieve. Because even if I'm leaving earlier and I'm just playing the time game, at a certain point you can end up with an issue where if you stop, it's going to heal up and not be an issue tomorrow, or you can push it to where all of a sudden you have an open wound and the next 3 days is going to be trying to heal it. At the moment, my main struggles have been just kind of light abrasion around the bottom of my pack and across my ass. And considering how many times the words abrasive and ass have been used in my direction by exes, I should probably expect that. I'm pretty sure it just has to do with the amount of humidity. There isn't a lot I can do. I mean, I also haven't been able to really do laundry in a while. I have soaked my clothes in water and dried them out when I was going to be in a hotel long enough to get them dry. But in general, if I can manage 25 miles a day and I'm just dealing with light manageable issues that heal up mostly by the next morning, I will take that trade anytime. Looking ahead today, near as I can tell, it's just more of the same. Lots of long roads kind of winding through farmland, etc. There is a $70 Airbnb or B&B, so probably a room in a bigger house at the 20-mile mark. Assuming I'm not having issues, I'm not going to stay there. If I go to 25, there's another section which looks promising, at least based on the map. One of these kind of windy areas through the hills where they're not going to have a lot of houses and farm fields. One of the guys back in Delaware who was starting this trail was setting up like visibly in the corner of farm fields. He didn't have issues, but he was also the one that was kind of like provoking the police, staying visibly in a park in DC. I always feel personally like being, visibly camping out like that is contributing to the whole kind of visible homeless scare problem. And that is going to get people more on edge. That's where you get the signs like yesterday in Aurora, where you get bathrooms locked, things like that. So I always go for something like last night where, I'm hidden. And is there a chance somebody could find me? Yes, but it is relatively low. Unfortunately, once Jen joins me, my stealth ability goes down a little bit, in part because we have a bigger tent. We use a 3-person Nemo when it's the 2 of us, because with the 2-person, you're basically jamming the sleeping bag up against the zipper, and we can't do our sleeping with the food technique correctly with that little space. And it's a great tent. It's not super wide. Some of the trekking pole tents are just massive width-wise and require you to have basically a set campsite. But I do end up finding a lot of things where I'm like, man, if I only had my 2-person, I would set up right here. And then we have to do something less ideal. Also, just having 2 people, 2 headlamps, 2 folks moving around, making noise. Not to mention, I have to resist talking, and anybody who has been around me in real life knows that is a challenge. Next thing you know, I say something stupid to try and make her laugh. She laughs, and people can hear laughter drifting across the hills. But I also have access to another advanced thru hiker technique known as hitch baiting, aka I can send Jen in if we need to try and approach somebody's house and ask permission to stay on their yard, and she is likely to have a slightly less wary reception than if smelly bearded guy comes up. I am going through a few small towns today. There's going to be gas stations, things like that. There's a cafe in a town called Friendly that I kind of want to stop at, if for no other reason than the name. And there is a Dollar General later in the day. I'm just going to lightly supplement because there is a bigger town in just another, 50 miles or so. I've got dinners, so I have some solid calories at the end of the day. And you can always get nuts and trail mix and things at gas stations. I kept looking down by the river, seeing if I could find something to set up with last night. Unfortunately, the only options were across, and it was deep enough. I didn't really want to test how waterproof the bottom of this Ultra Catalyst is. I did have 1 bar of reception last night, enough that a forecast popped up predicting rain, light rain throughout the day. We'll see. I mean, yesterday there was obviously rain and electrical storm in the area. It was just in one particular area and it didn't hit me. So after the last 2 months, I have 0 complaints about the weather the last couple of days. This has been just bloody beautiful and ideal. It's in the 70s. There are, mixed clouds. I'm fine with a little rain if I can just keep those numbers for a while. At some point out here, it is obviously going to get warmer. Everybody keeps saying that I am going to die in Kansas due to the heat. I am well aware how that works. See my past trips. If it gets into mid-90s, that tends to be the level where you can't function anymore, or I can't function anymore. And I have to realistically take a break during the middle of the day heat. It's when you're getting into the high 80s, low 90s that it's borderline, like a week or so ago, where I was able to move, but I was having to take a lot of breaks and the heat was hitting me hard. You add another 5 degrees to that and heat won't hit me as hard because I'll just be hiding in the shade somewhere. The trick out here is just going to be, where do we find that we can set up in the shade for 7-8 hours, whatever it is, until it cools down in the evening without somebody noticing us and calling the local popo. At the moment, my image of Kansas is basically hiding in between rows of corn in minimal shade, waiting for the heat to die down. There are American Discovery Trail Society trail angels along the way I can leverage, and also the state coordinators, though I did ping the guy for Southern Indiana and I have not gotten a response, which is funny because at least so far everybody's been really active and I've had people checking on me, in at least one case looking for me ahead of the storm just to make sure I was okay. Actually, I think there were 2 cases of that so far, but I try not to worry over much about the weather. You have to make some decisions as far as when you start, what your hiking season is. And you start stupid early, you're going to get stupid cold. You're going to have to bail off due to snow, ice, etc. But once you're out there and you made that decision, it's just making good choices. There are people who get in trouble in mild heat because they're not drinking properly, they're not taking breaks, they've got stupid heavy gear, etc., etc. And then if you gear for it, you can deal with reasonably extreme temperatures. But you have to know when it's pushing it and going too far. Again, let's see that Sierra Club friend of mine that passed away after a hike in extreme heat out in Death Valley. It did feel really good to have a quote-unquote normal night and morning out here. No hotel, no running out because I'm in kind of an iffy camp. Getting to catch up with all my edits and enjoy my coffee. The thing I've kind of come to is when I am going through difficult sections, I am happy to, obviously take trail angels up on their offers as long as it's private sleeping arrangements. It's not worth it going on somebody's couch or anything like that. And I'll even do multiple nights, though. So far I've managed to keep it to 2 stays, except for Brian, where I had little choice because I was so sick. But ideally, it would be stay with them, do a night or two, stay with out on the field in the tent, and then stay with them again, just to make it feel a little more authentic. Even here, where I walked into a hotel and then I walked into another hotel a couple of days ago, it's fine. I would rather do that than pick up, drop off, Ubers, etc. But it does start to ping that this isn't what I'm out here for. That's the same reason I've said no to support vehicles before. Not because I'm not blown away that people would be so generous over my silly little hikes, but I don't know. Just doesn't kind of scratch the itch that I'm looking for. One of the things we actually struggle with out here sometimes is when somebody reaches out trying to determine, are they just wanting to help if I'm in need, which is one thing, or thinking that all hikers are always in need because this is such an ordeal, or do they honestly want to meet me? If it's the latter, we go out of our way to arrange something. I mean, heck, bring some Gatorade and a sandwich, and I will chat with you pretty much any day of the week. But we don't want people to go out of their way and miss their kid's birthday party or whatever else to come out to meet us because they think we absolutely need that Gatorade and sandwich or else we will die. This is why so many of the people that we do end up meeting are the ones who say, oh, I've been following you since, you left Key West, and it's so cool you're coming through my area. Because like I said, if it makes somebody happy to meet us, and as long as they're willing to do it in a way that doesn't require us to take a day off or majorly impact our schedule, I'm always up for that. Usually gives us a giant warm fuzzy. And there is this funny effect, because I guess you could say Jen and I put so much of just ourselves into our videos. We're not playing a character. Oh my God, living my best life, guys. Any of that. The people that do reach out, come meet us, tend to understand our personalities and be a pretty good fit, even if they were folks that we never would have met normally, which is a nice factor. Only the cats wanted to come play as much as the dogs. For the record, I missed a turn while I was talking, so I'm getting a bonus half mile or so. Looks like there was some cut across on something that looked like there was a driveway. But bonus hill was better than gain. More gain. So that was the turn I missed. Not sure where I missed it, but oh well. I needed some extra miles today. Just happened to run into some farmers who were getting ready to go plant, they said. So, per them, it may rain after 5, and they let me fill up water. I actually had reception, so I talked to Mom briefly. I haven't had reliable cell when people are awake, being out here on the East Coast. Plus, walking all alone towards friendship just seems sad. The weather just seems unsettled. No lightning today, though. Between this and Santa Claus, they had fun naming towns in this part of Indiana. Apparently they have food trucks sometimes, but I'm a little early. I do kind of like the idea of packing funnel cakes out. This town would have been the place to be during the tornado warning a few days ago. Seems like it'd just be asking for it. Plus, easy episode title. Tornado tears apart friendship. Funnels of love tear apart friendship. I think somebody mentioned a scout trail to me. Well, I guess I might as well go see if I can get lunch. So that was good timing. Got a sandwich, missed at least a little bit of drizzle. Was able to rehydrate enough for the next couple hours. I also had yet another encounter with somebody who was talking about previous hikers on this trail. And this one, she said that lady stayed here for like 4 days before going on. Why are you in such a hurry? And that seems to be something I've gotten multiple times. I'm not sure if it's just people taking advantage of the slack packing opportunities, and so they're doing way more miles than I'm capable of, or just folks not that concerned with trying to make it through in a year. Because I feel like I am trying as hard as I can. I have no time for breaks that aren't absolutely necessary, and I still don't have any confidence I'm seeing San Francisco this year. I feel like it's going to take everything I have just to make it into Nevada and get close enough that I can finish it off at the end of next season. One of the places I stayed, the trail angel was talking about this couple who had done the trail and said they were taking like a week off to go visit this, that, or the other, and then claimed they'd made it all the way across. So, I don't know. Maybe they're doing it CC style, just cutting as quick as you can, because like through Ohio you can save 200 miles. Feels like this is the first time I have been actually chilled in a while. Almost has me wanting a jacket. Be quiet. I do really like it when there are food stop options like that. It is a little more expensive budget-wise, but gives me easy access to, water and a bathroom, and it lets me stretch my food carries further. There is that Dollar General later today, but I think I can make it into the next town the day after with what I got. So I decided this beat a Dollar General top-off. So Jen would disapprove, but I decided to get another sandwich rather than, gas station snacks. So there are minor rainstorms blowing around, but I haven't seen any electrical activity at least. And I don't mind getting wet. Well, I mind, but it won't stop me. This road has been a little less than great. Seems to be a lot of elderly drivers that have trouble staying in their lane. Little baby horsey. They said I should be able to make it through. They just asked me to be very careful of the equipment, which I'm all for. I'm always a little reluctant to video details when I go through sections like this, since I never know if somebody's just doing me a solid and letting me go through when maybe their boss wouldn't appreciate that. The flag crew just told me I had bigger balls than they would walking through here. Honestly, this section isn't that bad. The coal trucks flying back and forth, I have to keep an ear out for. But this ain't the first time I've been by one of those quarries. You know, see, before Philippi, after Parsons, I don't even know how many I've been through now. Most of the time I don't even have permission. I'm just walking through and waiting for somebody to tell me I can't be there. Just another day walking across America here. Can't sweat the small stuff. I tend not to want to take breaks when I'm going through those busy sections though. So in another 2 miles or so, I am at Canaan. There is a B&B which has sub-$100 hotel rooms, and I will be a little over 20 miles, but I am not in the mood to really stop that early, assuming nothing goes horribly wrong in the next mile or two. Okay, welcome to Canaan, where they do apparently have an Airbnb, but I'm just hoping to find somebody to let me fill water. And I can get another 5 or so miles out tonight, I hope. Okay, nice gentleman and his wife filled me up with water. So I got about a gallon on my back, which feels ever so wonderful. They also let me know that there's more road construction up ahead. They're working on some sort of a bridge, but sounds like you can walk across it, just not drive across it. I've gotten drizzled on a couple of times, but mostly it's just been epic looking clouds. Temperatures have been quite pleasant. If I can just get another, 6 months of this weather, I should be able to make some good progress. I was also looking ahead, and while the trail doesn't wiggle as much as Ohio, it's not exactly a straight shot. Like here, I'm cutting down south to Madison, Mason, something like that. Yes, big scary hiker. I'm just getting all the road closures today. Tree farm, I assume. Okay, despite starting earlier today, I'm only just over 25 or so, so if I can find anything back here, I am pretty much in the market. Can't tell, but it looks like I might get into another valley where I'm on the side with houses and trapped against the river. See, the problem is I find something that's kind of iffy, and then I decide, not worth it. There was one back there, but it was right across from a house where somebody was home. I don't want to get back there and get set up only to have angry landowner with a gun making me move. At least for me, having to relocate after I stop and unpack is actually worse than just hike until dark 30. If this actually is a church and actually has people in it, I may actually be desperate enough to knock on a door here. So I actually found somebody at that church, knocked on the door and asked if I could set up, and got told no. Lady didn't even think about it. At least per the sign, it was a Catholic church. Lady had some sort of headgear on, but I really don't know. I remember the denominations that have been friendly in the past and have let me set up, like the UMC folks or the Southern Baptists. The ones that I've been shot down by are Mormon and now Catholic. But there's plenty of independent ones that have said yes and been very kind. Problem is, this time of night it becomes harder to track people down. I mean, I was knocking on that lady's door at 8:45 at night. I hate asking like that. I mean, it's one thing if people offer, they see me and offer me a spot. I don't like putting people on the spot though. And I seem to not be successful. I'm fine getting water, but as far as places to camp, I have been shot down by random stores and other things multiple times. So hey, that was probably the first time I was shot down by a nun. There was one unconfirmed note about somebody letting ruck runners stay on their property, but it was off trail and I'm kind of burning daylight here. And I do not like being stuck in areas like this. If it's out in the middle of nowhere, that's one thing. If it's where houses are, yeah, not my favorite. Come on, back, back. Well, as much as I don't want to do this, I think this is my best chance. So I'm going to get my feet wet at 9 o'clock at night. This isn't my favorite situation. Don't want to go too far back and get into somebody else's property though. So this is very much non-ideal back here, but even I have to admit I am pretty secure. The land behind the river is owned in a strip. It ends in a field, so I think this is unused, and there was an old track, and I'm not even on the track. I came back even further than that. So while theoretically somebody could just catch sight of me through the trees if I have my lights on, as long as I'm careful with my lights, I should be okay for the night. A little less comfortable than last night. There at least I was in a remote area, didn't have cars coming by constantly. I managed to knock out all the stinging nettle and everything and find some place I can sleep, so home sweet home.